American authorities spend millions of dollars every year hunting digital cartels across the internet. But the technology protecting those syndicates was not born in the criminal underworld. It began inside a United States military research laboratory. How did a quest to secure classified government communications inadvertently lay the foundation for a billion-dollar digital black market? And what happens when federal investigators are forced to fight an enemy hiding behind a cryptographic architecture rooted in their own government's research? To understand this paradox, you have to look at the invisible crisis facing intelligence operatives in the mid-1990s. The internet was rapidly expanding into a global communications infrastructure, but it came with a fatal flaw for intelligence work. It was fundamentally transparent. An operative communicating from a hostile foreign nation could easily encrypt a classified report, but encryption only hides what the message says. It does not hide where it comes from. Local networks could read the digital shipping labels, exposing the exact location contacting the Pentagon. The metadata alone could compromise covert operations and cost lives. The military needed a way to move through the network without leaving a trace. In 1995, researchers at the United States Naval Research Laboratory developed a concept called onion routing. Instead of a straight line, this protocol forced data to take a chaotic detour, wrapping connections in multiple layers of heavy cryptography and bouncing them through a random maze of global servers. Each server peeled off a single layer, ensuring that by the time the connection reached its destination, the origin point was completely scrubbed. The user became a digital ghost. It was a brilliant mathematical solution, but it came with a trap. If the United States government was the only organization using this network, the encryption itself would act as a glowing beacon to foreign surveillance. Wearing an advanced camouflage suit while standing alone in an empty room does not hide you. It makes you the only target. To hide their own traffic, the military needed a civilian crowd. The technology was developed into a free, open-source project that eventually became known as Tor. Partnering with digital rights organizations, the goal was to get journalists, dissidents, and ordinary citizens to route their daily traffic through the network. If 1 million innocent people used Tor to protect their privacy, an intelligence operative would simply vanish into a chaotic crowd. The strategy achieved its primary goal, and the operatives disappeared into the noise. But when you build a powerful digital fortress and leave the doors wide open for the public, you surrender the ability to dictate who chooses to walk inside. Around 2004, the network introduced a feature that changed the internet forever: onion services. On the surface internet, if a website engages in illegal activity, authorities can look up its public IP address and physically pull the plug on the server. But an onion service possesses no public IP address. Its location is mathematically shielded behind a .onion domain. The user and the website meet at a secure, encrypted rendezvous point deep inside the network, with neither knowing the true identity or physical location of the other. The original intent was noble. Onion services allowed dissidents living under brutal dictatorships to publish critical information without their servers being seized by state police. But a piece of technology does not possess a moral compass. The exact same cryptographic architecture that shields a human rights activist can also conceal a criminal enterprise from the authorities. The global criminal underworld recognized this potential immediately. But anonymity was only half of the equation required to build a digital cartel. To build a thriving economy inside this hidden network, criminals needed a way to move money without relying on the regulated, easily traced global financial system. The catalyst arrived in early 2009 with the silent launch of Bitcoin. While Bitcoin is not entirely anonymous, since it operates on a permanent public ledger, the criminal underground initially perceived it as a safe, decentralized alternative to traditional banking. It offered a way to move value across the globe without asking for permission. When the location shielding of Tor collided with the decentralized financial architecture of Bitcoin, the Internet experienced a violent mutation. Hidden services evolved overnight from obscure message boards into massive, hyper-efficient digital black markets. The irreversible turning point arrived in 2011 with the launch of a marketplace called Silk Road. Founded by a young Texan named Ross Ulbricht, Silk Road revolutionized the underworld by introducing the user-friendly interface of a major online retailer. It featured registered vendors, product descriptions, 5-star reputation systems, and automated escrow mechanisms that held the buyer's funds in secure trust until the illicit goods arrived through the postal service. Silk Road proved conclusively that an onion service could successfully facilitate global narcotics trafficking on an industrial scale. Federal agencies launched massive global manhunts, but found themselves engaged in a frustrating digital war against targets hiding inside a network engineered to resist mass surveillance. Investigators soon realized they did not need to break the underlying mathematics of the network. The protocol was sound, but the human beings running the empires were not. Investigators shifted their strategy toward the operational errors of the administrators. They hunted for server misconfigurations, infiltrated syndicates using undercover agents, and weaponized the Bitcoin blockchain by developing advanced analysis tools to track illicit money flows outward to regulated cryptocurrency exchanges. The digital kingpins believed they were untouchable inside a cryptographic structure, forgetting that even the strongest fortress has a back door if the architect gets careless outside the walls. The FBI and the IRS brought down Ross Ulbricht through relentless investigative correlation. Years earlier, Ulbricht had quietly attempted to promote his new site on the regular internet, leaving behind an early forum post from a user named Altoid. Tracking that username to a coding forum, investigators found a post where Altoid provided a contact email address, rossulbricht@gmail.com. The elusive ghost of the underground had inadvertently handed federal investigators his real name, leading to his dramatic arrest in a San Francisco public library while actively logged into the master administration panel. The fall of Silk Road sent shockwaves through the ecosystem, but the criminal underground adapted with evolutionary speed. By 2017, a new marketplace called Alphabay had risen to dominate the void. Alphabay grew to 10 times the size of Silk Road, generating hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. Its creator, a young Canadian named Alexandre Casas, lived a life of unimaginable luxury in Thailand and believed his operational security was flawless. He had built an infrastructure utilizing advanced encryption and privacy-focused cryptocurrencies. But in the early days of launching the site, the Alphabay forum was configured to send an automated welcome email to every new user. The hidden header of that email contained the administrator's personal contact address, a Hotmail address Casas had used as a teenager, completely tied to his real-world identity and citizenship. He had built a multi-million-dollar empire behind military-grade encryption, only to be betrayed by a forgotten email account from his youth. That single, fleeting digital footprint was all international authorities needed to track him to Thailand and seize Alphabay. The immediate aftermath revealed a law enforcement strategy far more sophisticated than anything the underworld had ever anticipated. When Alphabay was suddenly pulled offline without explanation, its massive user base of buyers and vendors panicked. Desperate to continue their illicit commerce, they flooded into the second-largest market available, a prominent site called Hansa. They believed they were seeking refuge in a safe alternative. They were completely wrong. Weeks before executing the raid on Alphabay, Dutch police had secretly compromised the physical servers hosting Hansa in Lithuania. Instead of shutting it down, authorities made a brilliant tactical decision. They quietly took total control of the infrastructure, locked the original administrators out, and began running the criminal marketplace themselves. For nearly a month, Dutch law enforcement operated as the silent administrators of a global black market. They rewrote the code to automatically capture unencrypted passwords, logged physical shipping addresses, and mapped the entire financial network of the syndicates. When the Alpha Bay refugees panicked and flooded into Hansa, the timing and coordination of the takedown allowed authorities to herd the world's cybercriminals directly into a trap they already controlled. It was a staggering psychological blow, proving definitively that authorities could compromise infrastructure and identify users without ever breaking the core encryption of the network itself. Every time law enforcement executes one of these coordinated takedowns, they score a major tactical victory. But the cycle of adaptation is relentless. Because the underlying code of these privacy tools is open source, the moment one empire falls, ambitious new operators instantly launch new hidden services to fill the economic void. They study the catastrophic mistakes of previous kingpins, tighten security, and implement stricter operational protocols. Law enforcement, in turn, develops entirely new tools and psychological operations to find the next inevitable human error. It is a constant, high-stakes arms race between anonymity technology and digital forensics. And at the very center of this endless arms race lies the ultimate paradox of the digital age. The United States government desperately needed a way to protect the privacy of its own classified communications. They succeeded, helping to fund and develop an architecture that currently protects millions of journalists, human rights activists, whistleblowers, and innocent citizens around the world from oppressive government surveillance. The technology worked exactly as it was intended. It solved a genuine, critical problem. But once a technology capable of highly effective identity protection became public, open source, and globally distributed, nobody could dictate who deserved its protection. The code does not judge intent. The mathematics do not discriminate between right and wrong. The exact same architecture that makes human rights advocacy and journalistic privacy possible also makes illegal enterprises incredibly difficult to track. It is an invisible ecosystem rooted in classified military research, funded by a desperate quest for national security, and handed over to the open internet, where it will continue to evolve forever in the dark. If there's an extraordinary true story you'd love to hear on this channel, tell us about it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this one, leave a like, join the channel, and stay with us for more incredible true stories.